I actually started writing fic before I knew what fic was. I've been writing it since I was a kid, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anyone else did it. I had no clue that other people were watching TV shows and going, wow, I would really like that to be different, and then writing down the way they wanted it to be different, or filling in the missing scenes. You know, I had no clue. I didn't discover it until my 20s, mid-20s.
Fan fiction, like fandoms, can go from books to movies to TV to anime to
Bands.
yeah
Or
bands
to real people.
real
fic.
people.
Celebrities.
Yeah. It's anything that anybody has an interest in, all ages, from like having kids writing it to women in their 80s writing this stuff. Yeah. And it's any there's fandoms that there's only one or two stories in, to where there's just tons of it.
Oh yeah, if you can go to Fanfiction.net, and there will be fandoms for shows that haven't been on since the 60s that people saw on Nick at Night or something like that. You know, they've been seeing in reruns, and there are a handful of people writing fic. And then you'll go somewhere like Stargate Atlantis, and there will be over 1,000 fics, and there are all these people writing it. Apparently there were people writing, like at home, back in the, I guess that would be the 50s, writing I Love Lucy fan fiction.
But it makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
it's something that we wanted to do now. I mean, I'm sure there's been fanfic forever.
Yeah.
It's just been more easily accessible because it's online, right?
You can actually connect with other writers now.
That you're not the only one out there who going, I didn't like how the episode went. I want to rewrite it. And
Yeah.
people do.
Or who don't like it because there's a missing scene, because they only have 40 minutes, they can only show so much. And you want to know what happened in the missing scene, so you write it. See, we have our own language.
Yes. There's Gen, which is means that there's no sex. It's just like friendship, from anything from a mystery to
It's just a general TV show.
And then there's where you get a little bit more, which is slash, which is usually either two or more characters of a certain fandom are paired together in a relationship. There's like one true pairing in a lot of fandoms.
Yeah. But slash is all same-sex relationship.
And there's het too. That there's
which is heterosexual. And then there are ratings for the different kinds, because you can have slash that doesn't actually have sex in it, or you can have things that you probably couldn't watch on HBO. There are many different rating systems out there now, fan-made rating systems, so that people know what they're getting. There are people that make some really neat things, neat fan stuff. There was somebody that was making, back when we were trying to keep Star Trek Enterprise on the air, there was someone that was making Enterprise bears.
There's groups of people who do fanzines, where they are bound and they send them out. Others are starting to do CDs.
For my fandom, I used to do a lot of icons, like animated icons for like LiveJournal or Twitter, that kind of thing. I never did any fan art just because I'm not a good artist, but there's a lot of fan art. I did fan vids, so fan-made video compilations of TV shows, like where we set it to music or stuff like that. Like in Korea, mostly, we don't really do that here, but they sell like fan goods.
Yeah.
So the fans will get together like a big community, and they'll make goods for their favorite band member or for their favorite pairing.
Yeah.
So they'll have their favorite couple, and then they'll sell a fan art book, kind of like a doujinshi, which is like the doujinshis are like fan comics based on manga, kind of.
Yeah.
But you can do them on anything. You could do a doujinshi about Harry Potter or anything like that. So they're like that. They'll sell doujinshi or art books where they'll draw and then they're fan goods. So the fans will sell this stuff, and then they'll collect the funds that they make from selling you the merchandise, which are like fan towels, and T-shirts and jerseys.
Right.
Yep.
And then that's how they'll fund their fan meetups. keep my online self very separate from my real
Your
self.
several
I try
online
to.
selves.
My several
Yeah.
online selves. I try to, at least, because it can get pretty bad. Like I've had writer friends who have a lot of like big fan bases of their fanfics, but at the same time, because you have a lot of fans for your writing, you have a lot of haters.
There is a lot of very vindictive people in
Well, and
fandoms.
I think it's the anonymity.
Yeah.
Because they can get away. They feel like they can get away with it.
Yeah.
Because if they did that in real life, you know, there'd be repercussions. If you do it online, if it gets too hot, you just go change your name and come back.
Yeah.
some of them get as what somebody actually called tin gods complex. It's basically people who have too much time on their hands trying to dictate to others
what they can and
and
can't write. Of all the fanfic writers online, they're like maybe 10%, maybe
But they're
less.
allowed 10%.
Yeah,
They're OTP Nazis.
fandom Nazis.
Yeah.
I've heard them called that before.
and they go after anybody that does not like one fandom is Magnificent Seven, which is a western. Well,
Oh
there's-
yeah, the vixens that would go after any writer who cut this one character's hair.
Oh yeah.
If you cut Vin's hair,
Yeah,
the
they will
vixens
have-
would go after you, and it became like an in-joke in the fandom that if you cut Vin's hair, the vixens would come after you because, and so eventually it kind of died out because everybody just thought it was stupid.
Yeah, that's one of the bad things about it.
Again, the
It's-
negative bits of it, it's maybe 10%, if even that, and the rest of it is great.
Yeah.
You know, the rest of it's great. They're all people doing the same thing you are that love the same things you do, and it's just, it's great, and it's great to be part of.
Yeah.
Because you know you're actually part of something, you're not just doing it by yourself. Okay, like earlier this year, they had an auction to help Japan.
Yeah.
And that's what they were auctioning off was, you know, all the artists and authors to get in there and say what they would offer. And then people would bid on what you had to offer.
It was across all of LiveJournal. They did this thing where when the disaster in Japan happened, you would commission an author and they would write the fic for you and you would donate $5.
Yeah, and there's one that they do, the guy from the Sentinel, but he supports this one zoo, and so they do a fan auction. Yeah, it's very much a community in the fandom. Some of the fandoms are tighter than others,
Yeah.
but it's very much a community. I would say just start. Don't let anybody tell you can't write, because that seems to go in phases where they'll be telling people, oh, you can't write unless your grammar's perfect. Oh, you can't write unless you do this. You can't write unless you've seen every episode of that show. Just write. Just write. You'll get better. The more you write, the better you'll get. Just write and post and take the feedback with a grain of salt.
You don't have to post. You can just write for yourself. If you post, you can post under don't post under your name. You can post it under anything you want to make. Just go ahead and do it. You know, just write. Everybody can write. You can write poetry. You can write fan fiction. You can write real people fiction. You can write soap opera fiction.
You can lurk if you want to. You can lurk for as long as you want to on fanfiction sites. You shouldn't feel pressured to write if you don't want to. You don't have to comment on fanfiction if you don't want to. If you have this one thing you love to write about, but you go to like the main site for fanfiction and they only have like 50 fanfics, do not think that's all the fanfics there are about it. Don't be intimidated by fandom, because a lot of fandoms have a lot of history, and you're not going to get it all right away, so give it time.
There's a lot of good and there's some bad. You just gotta ride out the tide.
Because
Have
after
fun.
all, you're reading it for free.
Yeah.
That's the greatest thing in the whole world, when somebody writes to you and says, when I'm having a bad day, I go back and read this fic that you wrote to feel better. That is the greatest feeling in the whole world.
Yeah.